I've been hesitant to make this video because I know some people will try to turn this into a race issue when it totally isn't. Like that time that the Count from Sesame Street tried to tempt Oscar the Grouch to join the Count's really politically incorrect race cult.
Forget it.
Oh, Oscar, help me out here.
I don't want to help you out. I'm not going to say the N-word again, and that's final.
But Oscar was better than that. It's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Welcome to another edition of Q&A with the Coach. Our friend JB wants to know what I think of Michael Jai White's comments on him beating Bruce Lee. Well, let's take a look at the talk show where he initially said that a couple of years ago. Again, he said this on a talk show. The hosts fired off a list of lightning round questions, and one of them was about Bruce Lee. Let's take a listen here.
Questions for y'all. Here we go. These some real quick shots. All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
My guilty pleasure cheat food is.
Oh man, I'm so boring. Peanut butter and jelly.
Oh, okay.
Okay, simple questions about what he likes to eat.
No, I just learned that you can do three layers. I grew up with
What kind of man
you know,
prefers
like that, but I'm secretly afraid
smooth peanut butter
of
over crunchy peanut butter? Let's be honest.
Spiders.
Wow.
Yeah.
Spiders.
Bruce Lee would be no match for
Me.
There it
a
is.
person
You're
in
saying you could beat Bruce Lee?
Really?
Bruce Lee is 132 pounds. I outweigh him by 100 pounds.
Does size
He
matter?
could. Size matters,
Oh
baby.
yeah.
Yeah, size matters a great deal. But that slipped out. But but yeah, size matters a great deal. It's too big of a discrepancy.
Oh, wow.
You know, he can run across the street, I ain't gonna feel it.
The person in the Expendables I could definitely whoop is.
Size matters, baby. Oh, yes, it does. Yes, it does. All right. Who are we discussing here? Bruce Lee, Michael Jai White, both famous martial arts movie actors. Both of whom most humans have never seen in a real fight, but we've heard anecdotes about them. One, 135 pounds in his prime, and one, 235 pounds, both strong, both athletic, one significantly larger and stronger than the other. When all things are equal, assuming they're equal here, it's a pretty safe bet to bet on the bigger, stronger man. Now, as soon as Michael Jai White said this, the feathers were ruffled, and all the kung fu nerds of the internet came out in droves to attack. How dare you disrespect our Lord and Savior Bruce Lee? You are hereby excommunicated from the Church of Jeet Kune Do. Shame! Blasphemy, you heretic! Begone! Something like that. Probably worse. I've said much less inflammatory things, and man, I got excommunicated from the Church of Jeet Kune Do in a hurry. Man, in a hurry. They got some sensitive feelings round there. But was he right? Was Michael Jai White right? Man, you could make a rap out of that rhyme, but I will fight the temptation, friends. Thank me later. Was Michael Jai White right? What do we actually know about these two men? We know Michael Jai White has trained in many different martial arts styles. He holds a number of different black belts. He has trained with the UFC fighters. He has trained with a host of different athletes over the years. He has a lot of experience in the realm of martial arts. Bruce Lee, iconic martial arts movie star, action star, held to this ridiculous degree on a pedestal by the fans. Many people believe he was indestructible, that he had magic powers of some type, that no one could ever reach that level. And others simply say, well, it's disrespectful to say that you're better than a dead man in any way, shape, or form. So what are we really saying here? Is Michael Jai White objectively a better fighter than Bruce Lee, or what was Michael Jai White saying? A larger, stronger, skilled man can beat a smaller, weaker, skilled man. That seems to stand to reason. I think what ruffled so many feathers was the fact that Michael Jai White answered that question with zero hesitation whatsoever, with supreme, ultimate confidence. Me. No wavering in his voice whatsoever. Me. And some people take that as arrogant and pride. Arrogance implies, I think, that there is something wrong with that estimation. Arrogance implies that there is something dishonest about that estimation. Now you might start nitpicking at the definition of the word arrogance and say, actually, Ramsey, that's not what it means. But there's a negative connotation in arrogance. I did not detect negativity at all in what Michael Jai White said. Simply honest and objective assessments being made. Having been made. He knows where he stands. He understands how objects react in the physical universe. He understands how human bodies work. The man understands what martial arts are, what combat sports are, what punches and kicks and grappling can do. But again, we haven't seen either of these men fight. There are very, very few humans alive who ever saw Bruce Lee fight. Now, there are only 3 incidences. Well, 2 with any corroborating witnesses, but 3 incidences that would stand up in a court of law proving that Bruce Lee has been in a fight. 1, his fight with Wong Jack Man, where there were about half a dozen witnesses who told corroborating stories about what happened. There are no photographs, no video evidence, but there were corroborating witnesses. If there are 2 or 3 witnesses telling the same story in a court of law, then that can pass as evidence. If you got 6 or 7, even from different sides, if you will, on the Wong Jack Man side, on the Bruce Lee side, and they're telling corroborating stories, okay, that's pretty strong evidence it happened. And then, when Bruce Lee was a teenager, in secondary school at Francis Xavier College, that was a high school in Hong Kong, when Bruce Lee was a kid, he had a boxing match against Gary Elms. We don't know a whole lot about Gary Elms other than what some of his family members wrote in an epitaph after his death. He didn't talk really ever about his fight with Bruce Lee. He had a boxing match with Bruce Lee. When Bruce was a kid, he got in a fight in the bathroom. This is the 3rd fight on that equation. Wong Jack Man, Gary Elms, the kid in the bathroom. So he gets in a fight in the bathroom at school. And a priest who worked at the school, it was a Catholic school, walks in, grabs Bruce by the scruff of the neck and says, "Hey there, young man, you settle down. If you're so keen on fighting, you join the school boxing team and get in a scrap there under rules with some gloves on so nobody gets seriously injured." And that's what got Bruce to compete in that boxing match against Gary Elms. This story is spun in some crazy ways. People are always saying, "Don't you know that Bruce Lee was the national champion of Hong Kong in boxing?" or some nonsense like that. No, he had one school boy boxing match against Gary Elms. He did win by decision. It was a 3-round match. There are some photographs of it. I made a whole video about this. But people want to believe that it's something that it wasn't. It was a couple of kids having a boxing match. And this is another thing that always bugs me about the Bruce Lee mythos. I love Bruce Lee, and I hate people being intellectually dishonest about him. I hate people putting him up on this pedestal that he never wanted to be on, and attributing magical powers to the man when he wasn't about that at all. Man, read his work. Read his words. What the man actually said. He wasn't about that nonsense. He was about honest expression of self. If you suck, be honest about that and get better. Not about telling lies. You know who tells lies? McDojos. McDojos tell lies. That's a very misunderstood word. A lot of people think McDojo just means, martial artists who aren't particularly good at fighting. No. If you're not particularly good at fighting, but you're teaching martial arts, and you're honest about what you are and what you can do and what you offer and what people are getting out of the service that you're offering, that's not a McDojo. If you are lying about your rank, if you're lying about your abilities, if you are cheating and stealing and ripping people off and not giving them what they are paying for, if you are being dishonest any way, that's a McDojo, right? Bruce Lee was not about McDojos. He was about honest expression of self. So let's be honest, let's be frank about that. But when we try to conflate Bruce Lee's or anybody's childhood schoolyard scraps into street cred about how great of a martial artist you are, that's stupid. That's just blatantly stupid. And this happens all the time. People like to brag about their accomplishments, their fights. They want to feel tough, and so they reminisce about how they got into some fights as children against other children. How difficult is it to fight a child? When you're a child, it seems like life and death. It seems like, ooh, you're fighting the final boss in a video game, but the reality is you're a child fighting another child, and there's nothing glorious or glamorous or braggable about that. It's stupid. It's stupid. So all these people saying, actually, Ramsey, back in Hong Kong, Bruce Lee had tons of street fights. That may or may not be true, but if there's truth behind it, he was a kid fighting other kids. And that's stupid. Anyway, we've never seen either of these men fight. Unless you're one of those very, very few witnesses who saw the Wong Jack Man fight who's still alive today. But the overwhelming majority of you who are not the outliers, you've never seen him fight. You've never seen Michael Jai White fight. If you have, send me a video or tell me a compelling story about what happened if you saw it. But what I know, both of these men, movie stars, action stars, martial artists, if they fought, bet on the bigger, stronger man to win that fight. Michael Jai White also has the extreme advantage of having outlived Bruce Lee and lived into the modern era and having been able to study Bruce Lee and know what he was about and know what he was capable of and move way beyond that. It would not be a fair fight for many reasons. And if this offends you, good. That means the gears are turning in there, and maybe eventually, probably not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually those gears might click into place and you might realize, hey, wait a minute. A 135-pound man fighting a similarly skilled or perhaps better skilled 235-pound man who is strong and athletic and capable, that's not a good matchup. I wonder why I never thought about that before. So if you're listening to this on the way home, because I know you are listening to this on the way home from the gym because you got out there and trained, right? Right? And before you say, but Ramsey, the gyms in my area are closed. Unlike where you live, where the gyms have been open for the last year or so, and whatever, it's not fair, I can't get out there and train. Yes, you can. Drop and give me 50 push-ups right now if you were about to write that in the comments. 50 push-ups right now. Push-ups are free. You don't need a gym to get out there, which is the ground beneath you. Put your hands or your knuckles down there and push. Because if you're the type of person to give yourself excuses about why you can't do something, you definitely need to push. Get out there and train wherever there is, whether it's at your gym, at your home, wherever you happen to be, that is there. Shout out to my sponsor who sent me this awesome jiu-jitsu t-shirt, xmartial.com. They don't just have rash guards, they've got all kinds of training equipment. T-shirts, sporting goods, gloves, martial arts apparel, martial arts equipment, combat sports stuff. Go check them out, xmartial.com. Use my code Ramsey10 for 10% off everything. And shout out to Animal MMA and Fitness here in Shanghai, China. Catch me on Thursdays and Saturday evenings for classes there. Thank you so much for watching. Now get out there and train.